It's almost a given that there are no better Western games than those of the Red Dead trilogy. That is, Red Dead Revolver, Red Dead Redemption, and Red Dead Redemption 2. While these games all excel in so many different areas, gunplay, music, atmosphere, so on and so forth, I find that one thing that makes these games so special is the amazing, intriguing, sometimes outrageous, and thought-provoking cast of characters that you encounter throughout the story. There are so many that I could make a top 50, but then we'd be here all day. And so today, I bring you this video, the top 25 characters from the Red Dead trilogy. Before I begin, I should say that this video will contain spoilers for all 3 games, so if you haven't played any, get to it! Or maybe you just don't care. So without further ado, for the people who stuck around, let's get to the list. Just squeaking into the list is 25, Charles Chatanet.
I have been all over the world, I have seen the sights, and I have discovered the one eternal truth that I am a pies, how do you say, all ass.
Asshole?
That too.
Although I expect he might have been an entertaining yet small and insignificant piece of Red Dead Redemption 2 to most others, I really loved every minute I got to spend with Charles. Charles's missions to me were the epitome of what stranger missions could be. Succinct but sweet, super funny and memorable, and it is all because of how eccentric and opinionated and passionate he is. The scene in the art gallery was one of the funniest in the game. "That's my mama! As nude as the day she was born!" will never stop being funny to me. And plus, I have to represent a good character named Charles. We don't get enough of them. Funny enough though, this won't be the only Charles on this list.
If they don't like you in the islands, keep on going to the South Pole.
Ah, yes, I hear there, the light is really fantastic. Au revoir.
"24, Seth Briers.
Excuse me, are you Seth?
Who are you?
I'm a friend of Mr. Wes Dickens. My name's Marston. John Marston.
Goodbye, John Marston. It's been a great pleasure.
Seth finds his way onto this list for being so different. He's like a stranger who snuck his way into the main storyline. Whatever I could say about Seth, nobody can deny that he is certainly a memorable and unique character. He fills this Gollum-like role in the story. Both are skinny, skeletal characters that had something precious stolen from them and would do just about anything to get it back. What would Lord of the Rings be without Gollum? What would Red Dead Redemption be without Seth? Okay, that's probably an exaggeration, but the connection can be made.
Finally, I see the light at the end of this very long, long tunnel. Seth's gonna be rich after all these years. It's silk sheets and Parisian whores from now on, mister.
Making new friends again, I see, Arthur.
Look who we found sniffing about.
23, Josiah Trelawney.
The very same.
Well, I thought you'd gone to New York.
And miss all this glamour. You must be joking.
If ever there was a bard in the Wild West, his name was Josiah Trelawney. And who doesn't love a good bard character? Josiah is great because he excels in a different skill set to the Van der Linde gang. While some others like Hosea and Dutch can do a little bit of what Josiah does while also offering up other tools to the gang, nobody does precisely what Trelawney does as good as Trelawney does it. Whether it's being the face for the gang, making friends or contacts for them, or being the flamboyant distraction that he is, Trelawney's help and presence is always welcome in my book. I'm also happy that Trelawney's ending is a good one, quietly slipping away from the gang when it's all falling to pieces.
Get out of here.
I'll miss you, Arthur. You've been a fine friend to me.
No, let's not get over sentimental. Come on, the place is quiet. Get out of here. Go with my blessing.
Thank you, Arthur.
Go on, shoot him, mister. Shoot him.
Come on, what? You getting cute with me, boy?
What's going on here?
22, Marshall Lee Johnson.
I got me one of them Williamson boys.
I got me one of them idiots who give marshals a bad name.
Oh, no. Put your gun down.
Marshal Johnson gets points for being a lawman in this world that isn't corrupt. He sets out to do his job and he does it well, even with his essentially useless deputies, Jonah and Eli. Marshal Johnson's straight-to-business attitude is respectable, and his no-nonsense methods are commendable. I always liked Marshal Johnson because in the attack on Fort Mercer, he felt like, to me at least, the only actually capable person that you had fighting alongside you. Everyone else was just a drunkard or a swindler or an idiot that happenstance kind of brought there to be with you. But Marshal Johnson could fight, and it felt good to not be the only one. And it's good to know that his hard work paid off, because in the end he has a happy ending, retiring and moving far away from Armadillo.
That sarcasm's most unbecoming, Eli. It's gonna hold you back in life, even worse than your lazy eye. All right, let's go. You ride with us again, Marston?
What are you doing, kid?
Hello, Arthur. You know what?
I don't know.
21. Lenny Summers.
Why ain't you never married?
Lenny breaks my heart. The character that belongs to the funniest and many people's favorite mission in the game did not deserve the hand he was dealt. A great character and all-around good guy, Lenny felt the most like he didn't belong in the Vanderland gang. I wish Lenny could have just slipped away from the gang and gotten a normal job and lived a good life, but nope. Lenny is always ready for anything, and is a part of many of the heaviest, most important missions in the game. He is always helpful, and he's so damn pure. His sudden in-gameplay death strikes a sad chord in every player's heart, and he will surely be missed. For his relatively small part in a large game, his impact is felt, whether it's his sarcasm or friendliness, or the abrupt removal of it from the game.
You lot have all turned yellow. Apart from you, of course.
Shut up, Micah.
I ain't never seen so many long faces. I guess folks miss them. I fell, but when I fall, I don't want no fuss.
When you fall, there'll be a party.
Party? Probably.
Yeah, my youthful vigor. It intimidates you. Does it?
It's a story as old as the hills.
20. Sean McGuire.
Changing of the guard, the fading of the light.
You're host, old man.
Okay. And what are you?
I'm the future, in all its glory.
Oh, well, good luck. Good luck and shut up.
Sean is like Arthur's annoying little brother. He's always getting into trouble that Arthur has to spring him out of, and they're constantly bickering, joking, and taking shots at one another. Sean's presence on screen is guaranteed to change the whole dynamic of a scene. It's instantly lighter, and any mission with him you knew was going to be full of jokes and silly banter and that awesome Irish accent. That is, until he gets into trouble for the final time, and it happens too fast for Arthur to do anything about it. Sean's lightness and personality completely juxtapose the abrupt and horrific way that he's taken out, and that does so much for the story. It's so sad to see him go. He's the first real casualty of Red Dead Redemption 2. You see what it does to Arthur and how it affects him and changes his outlook on things. It's a sign to the gang that things are going to change. Sean's small part in the game does all of that, and I think that speaks to how good of a character he really is.
I don't believe a word of that, Arthur.
Get him out of here.
You're a great man, Arthur Morgan. The kind of young whippersnapper I can really admire.
Oh, shut up.
Javier?
Yes.
Javier, will you ride out with Arthur to take a look for John? You're the two best fit men we've got.
19.
Now?
Javier Escuela.
We're pretty worried about him.
I know. The situation were reversed. He'd look for me.
Javier is the suave and debonair character of the gang. Lending a gun and a guitar to the gang, Javier is very familial towards the other members. He puts his neck on the line for them multiple times, and faster than anyone else would volunteer their own. The only thing that keeps him from being higher on the list is his strange choice to side with Dutch and Micah when the gang is splitting up. I guess his emphasis on loyalty, especially near the end of the game, puts him on the side of the larger part of the gang in an attempt to keep whatever is left of it together. In the end, Javier is little more than a detour for John to either kill or hand over to Edgar Ross, and by staying loyal to the gang, Javier really betrays John and Arthur and chooses a worse end for himself.
I've always loved you. Even now.
18, Micah Bell.
Was you followed? No. Was you followed? I said no.
Okay.
What is your problem?
What is your problem, partner? You don't look so good.
What is wrong with you?
Nothing wrong with me.
I'm fit as a fiddle.
If Micah being on this list got your blood boiling and sent you straight into the comments section to tell me how dumb I am, good. That's the point. The fact that Micah elicits that response from the players means that he is accomplishing exactly what he needs to as a character, and is a well-executed villain. Micah is unbearable from the moment that you meet him, but his growth from an irritating character to a completely intolerable, disdained one is something that every Red Dead Redemption 2 player experiences. Micah goes from being a careless murderer to a careless murderer that rips the gang apart by getting in Dutch's ear and ratting to the Pinkertons. Micah and Arthur's relationship is so compelling to watch play out. Micah being evil and going to the Pinkertons, and Arthur being an outlaw who eventually redeems himself is an interesting nod to, and play on, the typical white hat black hat trope. Nothing feels better than punching Micah at the end of the game, and there is no more satisfying moment than when Deadeye activates for you at the very end as John. Also, Micah has the best, "Oh, I'm dead," I've ever seen from any villain. Goodbye, Micah. You will not be missed.
Well, you won't make it in the circus, but you can shoot. Keep on practicing.
Thank you, old man.
Now, who are you?
No one interesting. Who are you?
17, Landon Ricketts.
Not a name that means much anymore.
Means a little. You were famous when I was a boy.
Yeah, killing men's a strange kind of fame. I was the fastest in my time. I must have been. I'm the only one left.
Living as long as Landon Ricketts has, in the profession that Landon Ricketts has, is no small feat. To become a living legend as a gunslinger and live long enough that it isn't the death of you absolutely earns you a spot on this list. Landon and John have this mutual understanding, and I like their dynamic. John makes many acquaintances throughout the story of Red Dead Redemption, but Mr. Ricketts is one of the few that I would call John's friend. From his voice and the fantastic performance by the late Ross Hagen, you can just feel the weight of Landon's years of experience. Landon is also the only survivor of the mysterious Blackwater Massacre, meaning that John and the Vanderlyn gang, in a way, met Mr. Ricketts years before the events of Red Dead Redemption 1. Landon Ricketts is the kind of character that you know could get his own game, but we only get a small glimpse into his life, and that makes him an even better character in my eyes.
It's been nice riding with you, Mr. Ricketts.
And you too. You took me back to another time. Talk to Louisa. She'll help you, and she's well connected in that other land. I hope you find what you're looking for, Marston.
You know what I'm looking for.
If you say so, Marston. If you say so.
You see, me and Archer, we're the bad guys. We enforce the rules. Now, while the rules may not be perfect, they're really not so bad.
Exactly. What's the alternative?
16, Edgar Ross.
Sure. Civilization may be dull, but the alternative, Mr. Marston, is hell.
Edgar Ross earns a spot on this list for being, in my opinion, the one true antagonist of the Red Dead Redemption saga. Now, what I mean by that is that Ross is the only character besides his partner Andrew Milton, who for the entirety of his on-screen time, you know is bad news. He is never your ally. With Micah, Dutch, Bill, Javier, there was always a slim chance that things would work out and not end with one of you putting a bullet in the other. But Ross, from the moment he's on screen, you just know. He's a conniving, manipulative bastard. You can't trust a word he says, but there's nothing you can do about it. And that makes for a great villain, for sure. Especially when you realize that he is technically doing a good thing by putting away outlaws, but still can't help absolutely despising him. Because for the reasons I've mentioned, he couldn't be further from good.
No one's playing games with you, Mr. Marston. But if we were to play some games, there'd be some interesting ones we could play.
Yes, sir.
Like hanging you for murder, or confiscating all your property, like that little farm of yours, or having you put in an electric chair. Those are the sort of games we could play. But we choose to play a different game. So calm down and play along with us.
Hello, John. John Marston.
15. The Strange Man.
Do I know you?
I hope so. I seem to know you.
I'm pretty good at remembering faces.
Are you? Do you remember Hattie McCourt's face?
Who?
She was a girl Dutch Vanderlyn shot in the head on that raid on the ferry a few years back. Same one you got shot on.
The enigmatic Strange Man is so intriguing. Every Red Dead Redemption player leaves that game wanting to know more about him. People want answers so bad they're jumping to crazy conclusions like he is somehow Trelawney just because he looks like him. The Strange Man is executed perfectly, because Rockstar gives you just enough hints that he could be a lot of things, but nothing is concrete enough to give a definite answer. Is he God? Is he the devil? Both completely possible. Personally, I choose to believe that he is Death. He calls John's gravesite a fine spot before John's death. He calls himself an accountant in a way, and John fires 3 shots at him before the 4th bullet jams, representing the deaths of Uncle, John, and Abigail, but sparing Jack. But maybe you take those things and his other riddle speak to mean he is something else entirely, and that's totally fair. Throw in his awesome appearance as the Reaper in his Sunday best, as an NPC puts it, and a super creepy hidden cameo in Red Dead Redemption 2, and you have yourself a great character.
What's your name?
You know, it's the darndest thing. I can't remember.
Tell me your damn name and where you know me from.
Well, I know you're from Mexico. I know you're from back out west. I know you from all over.
Tell me your name or I won't be responsible for my actions.
Oh, but you will. You will be responsible. This is a fine spot. See you around, cowboy.
I'm just making sure.
Every plan is a good plan if we execute it properly. Every problem we had was because we did not execute properly. Even Blackwater, from my understanding.
You're right.
14. Hosea Matthews.
Let's rob this bastard.
Every story needs its wise man, its voice of reason, and Hosea delivers. Whenever the gang is in chaos, unsure of what to do next, you could always rely on Hosea to be the rational one. Unfortunately, it doesn't always mean his advice would be heeded, but that doesn't detract from the quality of the advice. Any hope that the gang had of things going well went out the window with Hosea's death. Hosea's death was also probably the hardest of Red Dead Redemption 2 to stomach, and that speaks to a character that you emotionally connect with.
No! God damn it!
There's your deal, Dutch.
Hosea.
William.
13. Bill Williamson.
It ain't William. Bill comes from Williamson.
That's so.
Sure. So your first name comes from your surname? Ain't that odd? Guess I never put too much thought in it before. What's your real first name, then? Mary. Marion? Hey there, Marion. Shut up.
Good old Marion. In making this list, I realized how great of a character Bill is, and that he's not a throwaway like I originally thought. From the get-go, Bill is the gang punching bag. He makes one mistake and never lives it down. Bill says it beautifully himself. Whenever Bill messes up, it's the end of the world, but when Arthur messes up, it's just one of them things. I just love Bill's character. On the surface, he's a big dumb idiot that needs to be told what to do and needs somebody to follow. But deeper than that, he actually tries really hard for the gang, and is the head of what ends up being the most lucrative job that the gang pulls throughout Red Dead Redemption 2. And then, after all of that, he manages to go and start his own gang, which actually gains a reputation and is generally feared. Good on you, Bill. You beat the odds. For the most part.
What about me?
Well, exactly. What about you?
What does that mean?
Oh, Bill, come on.
Forgive me for startling you, sir. I have a message for you.
12. Jack Marston.
My name is Jack Marston. You knew my father.
I see. I remember your father.
I've come for you, Ross.
Jack Marston is as high as he is on this list partly because of his role as a character in the larger Red Dead Redemption arc, but more as a symbol. Jack represents the inevitability of the story. The character's ends in the story were always kind of predestined, and Jack shows that more than anyone. Jack was never going to be a lawyer like his mom wanted, or an author, or anything nice. His destiny was to become what he becomes. Like his father before him couldn't put away gunslinging, he was destined to become a gunslinger just the same. I also love Jack's mirrored first and final meetings with Edgar Ross, and that puts a nice little bow on this whole idea.
Mister, you alive?
Fuck, God damn it. Good heavens.
11. Nigel West Dickens.
I said, no, I'm not okay. Do I look like I'm okay?
You look pretty good for a corpse.
Praise be.
Move up, mister. Time to get you to a doctor or an undertaker. Whichever you need once we get to town.
St. Peter, open up them pearly gates. I'm coming home.
Come on, mister. Come on.
I don't have much to say about Mr. West Dickens, past that his time on screen was always lively and entertaining. He is one of those curious characters that the world of Red Dead so often gives to us, but a nice change of pace is a little more pleasant than some others like Seth. The snake oil salesman is a classic archetype of the Wild West, and I think Nigel executes it perfectly. Usually I would think that archetype would be a side character, a stranger or a quirky shopkeep, but the fact that Nigel gets wrapped up in the story in the way that he does is both awesome and hilarious.
Do you suffer from rheumatism, lumbago, acute chronic sciatic, neurologic or inflammatory pain? Well, I represent the only company that makes the genuine article that cures
headaches, neuralgia, earache, toothaches, backache, swelling, sprains, sore chest, swelling of the throat, contracted cords and muscles, anxieties and ravaged nerves, stiff joints, wrenches, dislocations, cuts and bruises.
And it adds vitality and vigor to the healthy man.
10. Bonnie McFarlane.
Well, you're alive.
So it would seem.
So, how do you feel?
I don't know the polite word for it.
I do. Stupid is the word we use around here. What were you doing?
I was doing something stupid.
Well, you'll be okay. Once you didn't die, the doctor said you'd be fine. He got the bullets out a couple days ago.
Good.
Before John goes to Mexico and meets Landon Ricketts, Bonnie is the only character I find that John treated as an equal and as a friend. John goes through RDR1 honestly kind of using people to achieve what he needs. But Bonnie saves his life, helps him out, and never for any kind of quid pro quo or benefit of her own. And once that relationship grows, there is clearly some mutual care there. I honestly believe if Irish or Seth or most others caught a bullet in the neck, John would give little more than an, "Ah, that sucks." But when Bonnie's in trouble, John wants to help. It would affect him if something bad happened to her. And it's not just because he thinks he owes her, but he respects her and holds her in a high regard, which I know all of us Red Dead players do as well.
I scarcely think we're gonna be frightened by some white trash.
White trash can be pretty frightening.
Well, they don't frighten me.
Good.
John, my family owes you a great debt.
I think you got enough debt. You saved my life. All I ask of you is this. If I get back home and get my farm started back up, you'll sell me some cattle. I prefer doing business with people I know.
Of course, Mr. Marston. It'd be my pleasure.
What are you gonna do about John, Dutch?
John?
He's in jail.
We'll get him. Abigail, just not yet.
There's talk of hanging him.
It's not gonna come to that.
Dutch!
Not now, Miss. Not now.
9. Abigail Marston.
I'm begging you to. They're gonna hang him and break the boy's heart. Please, do something. We will.
If Red Dead Redemption 2 didn't exist, I'm not sure if any of the original characters' spots would change as much as Abigail's. She might not even be on the list otherwise. But RDR2 fleshed her out so well and made her very real and crucial to the events of the entire Redemption saga. She cares about John so much that in one sentence she's professing her gratitude that John is saved, and in the next is calling him a pathetic fool for getting into any trouble in the first place. Nobody wants to just be done with the gang more than Abigail does, and so every time John does anything wrong once they manage to escape that life, it destroys her. At first glance, she seems like she's a terrible nagging wife who would never be satisfied no matter what John does. But really, if not for Abigail, John would have had no reason to redeem himself. Abigail's love for John and Jack almost seems to be her sole reason for living, and that is so powerful to me. Abigail also provides some of the sweetest moments in Red Dead, which are very much needed.
I got this ring. I've had it for a long time. Take it.
You serious?
It would make me very happy if you would...
We've lived a lot of lives.
Let's just live this one from now on. You and me, Jack, a family, by law.
John, I didn't know it mattered to you.
It didn't. But now it does. If you think this is dumb, I'm sorry.
Shut up, you silly man, and kiss me.
Red Harlow.
Well, Red, you're good. I'll give you that. But of course you'd have to be to live through what you did. Still, I'm afraid that we're gonna have to end right here and now, what we should have ended so many years ago.
Isn't she a beaut?
Yeah! Can I hold it?
She's one of a pair, only two in the whole world.
Where's the other one? The other one.
Mr. Kelly, please join me at the mansion when you've finally taken care of business.
The eponymous Red of Red Dead is a man of action, a man of few words, that way when he speaks it carries weight and importance. Red's goal is pretty self-contained, get revenge for the murder of his mother and father, Fallen Star and Nate Harlow. However, along his journey he helps many others with no benefit to himself. Red's most notable act of compassion is for his cousin Shadow Wolf. When Shadow Wolf dies in a battle against Nate Harlow's killer Colonel Darren, Red puts Shadow Wolf's knife in Darren's chest so that Shadow Wolf would be remembered as a legend. At the climax of the story, Red realizes it was Governor Griff that betrayed and caused the murder of his parents, and exacts his revenge. With the gold that Griff betrayed his father for at his fingertips, Red gives it to his allies, saying that it was never about the money.
Give it to them. It never was about the money.
Besides that, Red's appearance and bounty hunter persona are very classic Wild West, and playing as him in Revolver is a blast.
I have gold! Lots of it! You can have it, if you spare my life! Whiskey, women, fine weapons, anything you want. What do you say, partner?
Seven, Jack Swift.
Thank you, sir. Your help has been immensely appreciated. If I can be of any assistance whatsoever, do not hesitate to call upon me. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a certain debt to collect from Professor Perry and his circus crew. Good day to you.
Ever since I played Red Dead Revolver as a kid, Jack Swift was always the coolest thing about the game to me. Where Red is the bounty hunter, shoot first, ask questions later stereotype, Jack Swift is the gunslinging, gun-spinning, kind of superior, posh, condescending Brit. Like Revolver Ocelot in Metal Gear Solid, gun spinning is such a cool yet absolutely impractical thing that makes any fictional character look like a badass. But Jack Swift is witty and sly, and anybody that can do this absolutely deserves a high spot on this list.
Right, a secret door. That's the stuff. Probably leads right to the bastard. I'll keep these devils at bay. You see where that passage leads.
What do you think?
Why exactly did you buy this dump?
6.
For Abigail?
Uncle.
Why? Is she an idiot? No. What were you thinking?
I don't know. She said she wanted it.
She ever seen it? What are we gonna farm here? Rocks?
We?
You don't have a hope here without a wise hand at the tiller.
Enough of that. Get out of here. On your way.
No, you're stuck with me. Seems I'm stuck with you. John, the rock farmer.
So, you think I'm an idiot?
No. I know you're an idiot.
Now, on anybody else's list, I could never predict where Uncle would land. But in putting it all together and thinking about Uncle, he is so damn great and crucial to the redemption story. As much as everyone in the gang rags on him, insults him, puts him down, Uncle is the morale booster of the group. Uncle is imperative to keeping everyone at the camp laughing and joking and happy, and they don't even realize it. If I could hang out with anyone from the Vanderlyn gang for a day, hands down I would choose Uncle. His constant mentions of lumbago are funny every time, and his shenanigans and absolutely impossible stories around camp are amazing. And then, his role in the story, and especially in John's life, can't be overstated. Who knows if John really would have succeeded at winning Abigail back and keeping her if it weren't for Uncle, as much as Uncle said he thought John should just move on. And then, once the family is back together again, Uncle sticks around and is an integral part of the Marston family, in helping at Beecher's Hope and raising Jack. And most of all, out of all the Red Dead mysteries, the strange man, where Gavin is, if I could just ask one Red Dead question and have it be answered, I just want to know what Uncle's real name is. Ah, Uncle, rest easy, my old friend. There never was a better banjo player than you.
Will you, Arthur?
It ain't my business, brother.
No, I know. But it is mine.
5. Charles Smith.
Do it for me?
Charles, I've
saved your life. Do it for me.
Sure. Come on. You owe this man. You should have him do your negotiations.
Let's go.
I told you there would be another Charles on this list, and here he is. If any of the Vanderlyn gang gunmen could be considered lawful good, it would be Charles. He is in the gang because his circumstances brought him there, but he still tries to do his best, to do good, to help people and not hurt anyone who doesn't deserve it. He saves your skin more times than you can count, as Arthur and as John, and is just an all-around badass. Charles definitely does the name proud. I love Charles because the whole game, and especially in the later chapters, him and Sadie are basically the Legolas and Gimli to your Aragorn. Speaking of which...
He'll be fine.
You think they'll be back?
Maybe, but I doubt it. We must have killed most of them. This is your land.
Was it theirs once?
I don't think so. I met a fella said the Skinners rode down about 2 years ago. They're just angry men on a rampage, and we got in their way.
Sort of like we used to be?
Yeah, exactly like we used to be.
Maybe we should take up torture.
We got Uncle singing instead of torture. We're gonna be safe here, John. Hmm? You, your family, you'll all be safe.
I hope so.
Four, Sadie Adler.
You okay?
Yeah. He was a good man, my Jakey. We was always sweet on one another.
I'm sure.
Yeah. I miss him every day, every moment. They turned me into a monster, Arthur. But my memories of him, they still pure.
I ain't even got that.
Aside from my Jake, you're the best man I've known.
I know the company you keep. The competition ain't too fierce. We should get away from here.
Sadie's transformation from a defeated, battered, and demoralized widow to your greatest friend and ally is one of my favorite video game character arcs yet. Sadie feels so real, like everything that she does and every choice she makes perfect sense for who she is. When everyone in the gang is arguing, splitting further apart, and infighting, you could always rely on Sadie to have your back and have it well. In that final mission when she gets brutally stabbed, I don't know if a video game has made me angrier or dropped my jaw faster. But because Sadie is so awesome, all she needs is a breather and she's there to back you up in the end. To top it all off, the song that's been playing is her theme, and it's just so damn good and it plays in the best moments of the game. After playing Red Dead Redemption 1, everyone goes into 2 expecting brutal ends for the characters that don't appear in the original. But thankfully, Sadie gets to ride off into the sunset during the end credits.
I thought I told you to leave it, Bubba.
I thought to myself who this little girl thinks she's telling anything to.
Enjoy your drink in peace. I ain't got no business with you right now.
What that mean?
For the last time, leave me alone.
Or what?
What's that?
Get the hell out of here before she kills us all!
You!
Get out of here!
John Marston.
It is good to see you.
Keep them hands up and come here.
3. Dutch Vanderland.
Put your hands up.
Hello, Captain.
Keep your hands up and come here. Come here.
We can't do that. Your man... Those men they killed? They were good men. You're fighting nature, Captain.
Get over here.
Ask my friend here. My whole life, I tried to fight change. It's a waste. I see that now. It's a waste. You can't fight nature, Captain. You can't fight change. You can't fight gravity.
The man with a
plan.
Plan?
I got a plan, John.
You always got a plan, Dutch.
This is a good one.
Dutch is so impossibly complex. He thinks himself an artist making a statement whose paintbrush is his criminality. He is manipulative, yet idealistic. He is fatherly to his gang, yet careless to them. Is his turn from a visionary leader to a crazed, directionless one really the result of the bump he took to the head in the bungled trolley robbery? Or did he just become more of who he truly was, like Arthur and John theorized? What I said before about Ross being the one true antagonist? Yeah, forget that, because everything bad that happens to these characters, everything that goes wrong from the start of the whole Red Dead Redemption saga, it all falls on Dutch. Dutch is a fantastic villain because little do you know that while he was your friend and mentor, he was also your greatest enemy, ultimately leading both main protagonists to their eventual demise, as well as everyone else in the eponymous Vanderland gang. But on top of all of it, the detail that tops it all off for me is that in the final mission as John in RDR2, when he sees the money, it is revealed to be an absurd amount. All of that talk about Tahiti and mangoes, Dutch was lying the entire time. The gang could have jumped on a ship any time, but Dutch was never going to give up the old way of life that everyone tries so hard to convince him was over. He wanted the gang to die the same way it thrived, and in the end, that's exactly what he gets.
can't always fight nature, John. We can't fight change. Can't fight gravity. We can't fight nothing. My whole life, all I ever did was fight.
Then give up, Dutch.
But I can't give up, neither. I can't fight my own nature. That's a paradox, John. You see?
Then I have to shoot you.
When I'm gone, they'll just find another monster. They have to. Because they have to justify their wages.
That's their business.
Our time has passed, John.
Mr. Marston, I've been hearing about your plans.
Have you, Miss McFarland?
Yes, from Lee Johnson, to settle here and build a life for yourself.
I'm afraid those aren't my plans. See, I already have a life. Well, I had one, and I'm trying to reclaim it. Or maybe what you could say is I had two, and I'm trying to end one of them so the other can survive.
You do so love to talk in riddles, Mr. Marston. Do you do that, I wonder, as a substitute for having anything interesting to say?
Probably, Miss McFarland.
Oh, call me Bonnie, you fool. Call me Bonnie.
2. John Marston.
Miss McFarland, I'm married. I have a son. I had a daughter, but she died. Years before that, I rode in a gang. We robbed banks, trains, held people ransom. We killed people we didn't like. Bill Williamson was in that gang. Now, if I don't capture my former brother in arms, great harm will befall my family. Now, I don't suppose any of this is very interesting to you, but I hope it explains why I wasn't so eager to talk about it.
No, I do understand. I had no idea. You poor man.
Even in this new country, memories don't really fade.
John is an amazing character, one of the legendary video game protagonists, full stop. John is so great because he is flawed, but tries so hard to fight his flaws. He leaves Abigail once Jack is born, denying that Jack was his, but he comes back after a year, no doubt out of guilt. Once they all finally escape the gang, no matter how much Abigail urges him, he just cannot leave his gunslinging past behind. John feels obligated to take out Micah. He feels like it's something he has to do, when in reality he could just let it go. It's hinted that this is how the events of RDR1 are set into motion, as Edgar Ross tracks him back from Mount Hagen to Beecher's Hope. John tries his best for his family, but his mistakes always come back to bite him, and John fights it for as long as possible, but eventually his mistakes add up and become fatal. In his final scene, John comes to terms with all of that. John could have tried to flee Beecher's Hope and go on the lam again, but he knew it would never end. So he accepts that in order to give Abigail and Jack any semblance of the life that they tried to emulate for so many years, he has to open up those doors and go out like he lived, fighting. And that results in one of the most famous, heart-wrenching deaths in video game history. John was responsible for both the good times and the bad for the Marston family, and I think that's why he resonates so much with the players. Because John is rewarded and punished for every action that he takes, good or bad, the weight of every decision that he makes is felt. Beyond that, as a person, John is sarcastic, rough around the edges, but also heartfelt and philosophical at times. He starts off as a careless jerk, but grows to be a good husband and father. Now that we've seen all we will probably see of John Marston, I feel safe saying that he is easily one of video games' greatest characters. But there is still one more.
My father died when I was 8 years old. His eyes were, well, let's just say he was blinded in a bar fight south of Chicago. My mother died during childbirth. She was a prostitute and he was her, well, I don't know what he was. So I was sent off to an orphanage and ran away and fell in with a gang.
My word. What a difficult life you've lived.
The leader of the gang taught me how to read. Taught me how to see all that was good in the world. He was a great man in a way.
But you killed people.
Sure. And I've suffered for it. And that's the life I left. Or tried to leave. Said too much, Bonnie. I'm an uneducated killer, sent here to do all I can do well. Kill a man in cold blood so that another man may do his part to cut crime in an area, and a rich man can be elected governor on the back of these promises.
Civilization is a truly beautiful thing, Mr. Marston. Listen, can you help me?
Well, I can try. What do you need, money?
No, nothing so complicated. I need an extra hand to take out the herd to pasture.
Sure. Point me in the right direction.
Morgan! Are you okay?
Well, never better. What are you doing here?
Well, I'm on my way down to Mexico. They're finally sending me on a mission. Brother Dorkins is very jealous.
1. Arthur Morgan.
What's wrong?
I'm dying, sister.
Okay.
Yeah, I got TB. I got it. Beating a man to death for a few bucks. I've lived a bad life, sister.
We've all lived bad lives, Mr. Morgan. We all sin. But I know you.
You don't know me.
Forgive me, but that's the problem. You don't know you.
What do you mean?
I don't know, but whenever we happen to meet, you're always helping people and smiling.
I had a son. He passed away. I had a girl who loved me. I threw that away. My mama died when I was a kid. And my daddy, well, I watched him die. And it weren't soon enough.
My husband died a long time ago. Life is full of pain. But there is also love and beauty.
What am I gonna do now?
Be grateful that for the first time, you see your life clearly.
Sure.
Perhaps you could help somebody. Helping makes you really happy.
But I still don't believe in nothing.
Often, neither do I.
Huh?
But then I meet someone like you, and everything makes sense.
You're too smart for me, sister. I guess I'm afraid.
There is nothing to be afraid of, Mr. Morgan. Take a gamble that love exists and do a loving act.
All aboard? I shall try.
I know you will. Goodbye, goodbye, Mr. Morgan. Goodbye.
Sister?
Arthur Morgan's story hit me harder than almost any other I've played through. Throughout the course of the game, you see him come to grips with the fact that he's wasted his life taking from the world, and now he wants to give back. He's wasted his life being manipulated by someone he thought was looking out for him, and doesn't want to leave anyone else to be manipulated. When Arthur is diagnosed with tuberculosis, he knows that his days are numbered, and so he starts putting them to better use. But Arthur has always had it in him to be good. Arthur was always friendly and helpful, even before his diagnosis. He helps and befriends people like Albert Mason, Hamish Sinclair, and Charles Châtenay with no promise of a reward, simply out of good nature. Now the great thing about Arthur is that maybe your Arthur was different. This whole video you've been seeing my honorable, skinny, big-bearded Arthur. But maybe you didn't help Mary Linton while I did. Maybe you didn't help Rains Fall if you didn't have to. I think that is awesome and is a further step in allowing the players to connect with Arthur. However, there is one consistent major story beat that informs my entire opinion of Arthur. Near the close of Chapter 6, Arthur knows that his time is up. His entire purpose becomes getting John, Abigail, and Jack to escape. Now the moment in question is when Dutch meets back up with the gang after the final train heist and tells Arthur that John is gone. Arthur's face in this moment is so telling. I don't know about you, but to me, that looks like the face of a man who believes he's failed. And when John is revealed to be alive, Arthur fights tooth and nail to get him out of there, even before you make the choice to go with John or go after the money. And when you go with John, you see Arthur's story and the story of Red Dead Redemption come full circle. John was already skeptical of Dutch and the gang, and Abigail wanted to leave more than anyone, but Arthur brings John the rest of the way and makes their escape possible. I think a lot of what John does in the epilogue is to make it so that Arthur's sacrifice isn't in vain. And that is why, to me, Arthur is the greatest character of the Red Dead trilogy. Because he ends up being at the center of it, setting in motion everything we see in Red Dead Redemption and the rest of Red Dead Redemption 2. When RDR1 ended and we got stuck playing Jack, we all asked for more John. Then when RDR2 is all said and done, Rockstar gave us exactly what we wanted. But when Arthur Morgan is so good that almost the entire fanbase now wants him back, you know Rockstar and Roger Clark have succeeded in creating an amazing, compelling character.
Despite my best efforts to the contrary, it turns out I've won. God damn you.
It is over. Now, Arthur. It's over.
Oh, Dutch. He's right. You know it, and I know it.
He's sick. He's dying. He's talking crazy.
Up there on the ridge. I gave you all I had. I did.
Come on. Dutch. Let's go, buddy. We made it. We won. Come on.
John made it. He's the only one. The rest of us... No. But I tried. In the end, I did.
Come on. Let's go. We can make it. Come on, Dutch. Come on! Ah!
And there you have it, the top 25 Red Dead characters. While I say my final spiel, I just want to recognize all of the amazing actors and actresses that portrayed these characters, so here they are. Do you think anyone was missing from the list? Thought someone was too high or too low, or we just got the whole damn list wrong? Tell us what you think in the comments. What game franchise's characters should we rank next? Have an idea for a completely different kind of list we could make? We want to hear it. I'm Charlie from MoronsGaming, and thank you so much for watching. We'll see you here again soon.